Usually, the unknown is a frightening thing. As people, we tend to fear the unknown because naturally we might not like the outcome. But as gamers, we relish the thought of the unknown. Be it when you get to dive into an open world that grabs your attention, or discover new characters that we relate to, gaming is unique in a way that we all love to experience new and unknown worlds. And that's exactly why gaming needs to create strong new worlds, because every gamer knows the feeling they get when a brand new game is being showcased by a publisher they have respect for. No matter what you're doing, we all stop and give 100% of our attention to a trailer because the excitement for something new will always be something gamers want and cherish. And while we all love our dedicated franchises that come out every couple of years, games like the critically acclaimed Halo, where we all love playing as Master Chief and taking out alien armies, or when we are able to jump back into the world of Nathan Drake and Uncharted and enjoy the masterful work that Naughty Dog gives us. Or it's your favorite franchise, which for me is Gears of War, and you finally get to jump into the brutal world of Gears. And I wanted to start off with one of my most memorable experiences as a gamer. That was the build-up I had when Gears of War was first announced. I remember the showcase of that game at E3. The game grabbed me instantly. It was like nothing I've ever seen. I remember being a kid in high school waiting for that game to come out. I would look up everything about it, every single gameplay preview or tidbits of news. And when I didn't think the hype for the game couldn't get any higher, Microsoft and Epic dropped the Mad World trailer, which if you're a Gears fan know exactly what I'm talking about. That commercial alone grasped everything that game was trying to get across, every single emotion we will experience within that game as we played it. And that's exactly what I mean about needing new IPs in gaming. They're probably the single most important part of the gaming industry. And I'm going to play this clip about how important new IPs are. Sean Layden of Sony emphasizes this in his speech at a conference.
New IP isn't always easy, but it's always necessary. Imagine for a moment that a game studio comes up to you. They want to make a game set in a post-apocalyptic Colorado, where the heroine protagonist fights against, wait for it, robot dinosaurs. Or you could go with a title that's more similar to what that studio has made in the past, a supernatural shooter that brings in werewolves and a few of the first-person shooting mechanics that studio is known for. We looked at Guerrilla Games' proposal, heard what they were saying. They wanted to take a new direction. So they solicited pitches from their own studio, from internal, and received more than 30 pitches, including an idea from their art director that became Horizon Zero Dawn. The world was a complete 180 from what that studio had delivered previously.
As a gamer, I have to applaud what Sean Layden is saying here, especially when he says new IP isn't always easy, but it's always necessary. And I have to use my experience with Gears of War when I was in high school and when it was first announced to say that new IPs are the most important parts of gaming. Now, of course, there's been new IPs that have come out and haven't set the world on fire, and it terrifies studios and publishers to take the risk on a new property. Every single publisher has brought out a new game hoping it would catch popularity with the masses, but have fallen short. Sony, while one of the best companies to bring out new IPs, had their share of missteps with The Order 1886. While the game showed extremely well in its trailers, it wasn't the big hit most assume it would be. Xbox, a company that has struggled to bring out new great IPs this generation, still didn't try to stop and make new great experiences. Be it with Rise Son of Rome, a game I think is criminally underrated, or Sea of Thieves, one of my favorite games this generation. No matter how you look at it, most of these publishers tried their best to create something new, and I want to break down Sony's accomplishments in the new IP category, along with Microsoft's accomplishments. This is to show how important new IPs are to people that decide which ecosystem they want to invest in. And first up is Sony, who, if you look at their lineup, didn't bring out too many new IPs, but the ones they did bring out stand out among everyone else. I'm going to talk about the top 3 new IPs Sony brought out this generation. First being Bloodborne, a From Software game that Sony backed in order to get it to be a PS4 exclusive. This game was a staple for PS4 early in the generation, with a lot of people deciding to get a PS4 system instead of an Xbox or even PC because this game was such a success. It was a new IP but with familiar gameplay that matched Dark Souls. but the world building and the unique creatures you fought set this game apart from others. This is a solid description of a new IP that takes itself very seriously and executes its vision. It was a good way to show developers how they can create a new world with a new IP and apply it to the masses. Next up, and it's one of the best ones, is Spider-Man. Now I know there's been Spider-Man games before, but none of them stood out like Insomniac's latest entry. For all intents and purposes, this was a new IP that Sony could hang their hat on. The world was vibrant, the gameplay tight, and the story was outstanding. This brought new excitement for gamers all over the world. And it was a game that Sony had their brand of gameplay slapped all over it. It's one of the games that defined this generation, and for a new IP to do that really shows how great of an experience it is. And finally, the last but not least is Horizon Zero Dawn. Now to me, this has to be one of the best new IPs this entire generation. This game was shown at E3 and everyone watching knew they were witnessing something special. The graphics were out of this world and the attention to detail really popped on screen. Something so unique and imaginative was almost guaranteed to be a success. Like Sean Layden said in that clip, something like this might be hard, but it's something that they need to do. And Horizon Zero Dawn was a big risk by Sony. That studio was known for FPSs. They didn't really have their hand in third-person open-world games. But you know what? Sony took the risk and invested the money in creative talent to make a game that has sold over 10 million copies already. And it's become a staple for the Sony franchise and for the Sony ecosystem. So you have to applaud them for that. But now let's look at Microsoft and their attempts at new IPs this entire generation. I'm going to again target 3 new IPs that Microsoft published and funded. First up is a game a lot of people loved, and that's Sunset Overdrive. Like Bloodborne, this was an early generation game that a lot of people thought would set Xbox apart. While the game was fun and extremely unique, it failed to beat sales figures and capture a lot of the gamer audience. While the gameplay was fun and the overall game was exciting, it still was something that people might not have wanted. And that's something that's scary about new IPs. You can make a fun and engaging game, but again, it might not appeal to everyone and sell very well. And that's where Sunset Overdrive kind of falls into. But the next game is something that a lot of people found to be one of the best games this entire generation, and that's Ori and the Blind Forest. This smaller AA title was one game that a lot of people fell in love with. It was beautiful to look at and had a heartfelt story that a lot of people engaged with. This great new IP did so well that a new sequel was announced at E3 2018 and was met with gamers even more excited to play because of the great experiences they had with the first one. That just shows the power of a new IP. Not only do people get excited to play it, but also the sequel should be better and bigger and everyone wants to get their hands on it. It's what helps set up an ecosystem and a brand. And the last game I'm going to bring up will rub some people the wrong way, but I have to add it, and that's Sea of Thieves. While I know this game deserves its critiques and disappointments, we still have to admit that it has been received very well by gamers in general. This has been by far Xbox's best new IP this generation and has a great following. To me, it's a game that has shined some hope on Xbox and their creative teams because they took a very huge chance on such a unique game. And it's safe to say over the last year, it's been extremely popular for a lot of people. But again, all this popularity and all the success wouldn't have happened if they didn't take a risk with a new IP and give creative developers the room to move and wiggle and make games that they want to make. But as you can tell with these comparisons, Sony has been at the forefront with their creative side of games. This generation, they've been able to capture the hearts of many gamers with their brand new IPs and also set the benchmark for what other developers should strive for in creating worlds and characters. Now, I'm saying this as a true Xbox fan who loves a lot of their new IPs like Rise and Sea of Thieves. But I also have to give credit where credit is due, and that has to be with PlayStation creating these worlds that a lot of gamers felt almost compelled to experience. While we don't know much about the future of Xbox's new IPs, Sony this generation alone still have 3 brand new IPs coming out this generation. They've invested in creative talent that are capable of having a unique vision, but are also able to execute that unique vision. And if this generation has shown us anything, it's that new IPs are so important in a company trying to sell its brand. And I have to say, in the gaming industry, it's one of the pillars a company should hang its hats on. As we all know, Sony won this generation by a landslide, and to me a big part of that has to go with the new IPs that are attached to the brand. But this makes me excited for the future because for the first time in a long time, I truly feel that Xbox has finally invested in its creative talent. And because of this newfound talent like Ninja Theory, Obsidian Entertainment, and of course the Initiative, this will drive creative talent to do what they do best, and that's to create new interesting worlds we get to play in. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Are new IPs the most important thing in gaming for you? Which new IP this generation is your favorite one? Which gaming franchise is your favorite? And also share a memory about a new IP that you saw a trailer for and instantly wanted to play. Go down below and let's have a discussion. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. It means a lot to me, and any support helps the channel out more than you know. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my videos, so go over there and give me a follow. But also follow me on Twitch. The link will be in the description. If you want to hang out and chat with me, I'm very active with my chat and always playing games. I hope to see you guys there. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.